My wife said yes. My daughter said yes. And I thought, yes.
Welcome to Living a Life Through Books. I'm your host, Dr. Shanaz Ahmed, and thank you for joining us. For this series of author conversations, we are talking with Andrew Segal, the author of the upcoming murder mystery, The Lyme Regis Murders. This is part 2. Like I mentioned in episode 1, we had some background noises during recording. Please forgive the disturbance and stick with it. Andrew is fascinating to listen to. A bit about Andrew. He started off as an accountant, eventually specializing in insolvency. He says, it's a people-oriented occupation and source of innumerable anecdotes. His writing over the past 30 years has been somewhat eclectic with children's books, horror stories, and thrillers to date. The Lyme Regis Murders is his first foray into murder mysteries. So, with all that said, here's Andrew Segal, author of The Lyme Regis Murders.
And with I Am a Contract Killer, I thought it's going to start off, I like people. I love them. That's why I kill them, because I can't trust someone else to do it properly. But my man, again, based on events, I worked in a bar in East London during university holidays for some extra pin money. And one of their clients, one of their regulars, was a prostitute who used to come in for a drink and she'd pick up clients. And Jeremy, it was run by a very middle-class, well-spoken, educated couple, mother and daughter, son. And he said, if she services fewer than 20 clients a night, she thinks it's a bad night. And I thought to myself, more recently, there's a story there. So my story is of a boy who was born to a murdered prostitute who has come from an upper middle class background. He doesn't know what race is. He doesn't know what upper middle class means. But his name is Piers Montgomery. Now, we had General Montgomery in the last war. And my man, because his mother's died, is farmed off to another middle class family who sent him to boarding school where he's racially abused for the first time. But he's very bright and he's very big. And people stop messing around with him. When he comes out of school, he refuses to go to university. He joins the army. When he comes out at a loose end, he's picked up by a member of the Secret Service at a club that I used to go to, and they want him to be a contract killer. And he says, I'm not prepared to just kill at random. They say, no, you'll be killing people who we think are a threat to democracy, civilization. But you see, he is a misfit. And he says, he quotes, as he's talking to the reader, he says, Elvis Presley wrote about Heartbreak Hotel. You get so lonely you could die. I know what he means. And he sings one night with, if I could just have one night, 1 hour to hold someone, just 1 hour. I've never known love. I've never known affection. And then he says, then he quotes John Lennon from I Am the Walrus. Right. Then I got the picture best of all. He was the walrus, the oddball, a solitary man. Quote, yellow matter custard dripping from a dead dog's eye. Evocative, abstruse, verbal, psychedelic meanderings. See how they run like pigs from a gun. He was me. I am him. And yes, I love them. People. I love them all. Things we discover about ourselves. I'm a loving man, as killers go.
A loving killer.
I'm a loving man, yeah.
There's two words together.
Shall I tell you something? One of my regular readers read that and she said it made me cry at the end. She said, I really formed an attachment for him. Oh. That's not bad.
Almost sounds a little Hannibal Lecter-ish. Clarice.
Well, he had an intriguing appetite. He didn't just kill them. He used to like eating them as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't love them, but, you know, but that's really, really great. I mean, I love it. So tell me about writing, the physical work and or art of writing. How long does it take, the whole process?
Depends. It really depends. The Hamilton Conspiracy took me a year. That's, this one I showed you just before. And I did a lot of research. I spoke to a businessman about setting up a $200 million sham company. He said, you can do it. If you get it wrong, then you will be a guest of Her Majesty for some years. You go to jail.
Right,
but if it works, you can make a packet of money. I learned about kidnap and ransom. I learned how to use a gun. I went to an armory. I learned a whole bunch of things, how to make a bomb. It was fun. That took me a year.
I love how you just say it so casually. Yeah, I learned how to make a bomb. Took me a year.
Well, no, the book took a year. The bomb took less than a year.
Okay, good.
I found, actually, thinking back, I've gone through the process in the book. I'm not sure I really should have done these days, but still, you need the right equipment and you need the right circumstances as well. But
Okay.
The Hamilton was fun to write and had brilliant reviews at the time.
Excellent.
Okay, the Lyme Regis Murders, that's taken more like 2 years. It's a very different kettle of fish.
Okay.
Because you've got to get your head around who might or might not have done the murders, what were the circumstances, what's motivated them. It's very different to the Hamilton conspiracy, and that's taken a lot longer. And I've rewritten until finally I thought, yeah, okay, I'm there. I'd like to develop Tammy in a further book in the same way as Ian Rankin develops his Inspector Rebus from the first book to further books. I'd like to develop Tammy. So that's taken me 2 years. Short stories. Claire said, what inspires you to write? I said, a flutter in the pit of the stomach. Suddenly, I've got an idea. How's it going to end? If I've got the ending, then I can work out the beginning. I can work out the journey.
Okay. So you start with the end in mind.
Yes, yeah. On all of them. All the short stories. I hadn't realised, when I first started writing, I thought, I need some sort of a theme. You can never think of a theme to write about, but themes present themselves. So in the case of In His Own Image, reading the life story of Jesse James, I thought, gosh, there's a story in here with this young man.
Right.
I'm a Gigolo. That arose from, that's an older story. When I first met my present wife, as a young man, I was quite presentable. I had dark hair.
Still presentable.
I had hope, all sorts of things going for me. I said to her, teasingly, 20 years ago, darling, I was bumming around in Cannes. I wasn't earning any money. So I thought, someone said to you, you can earn money as a gigolo. So I thought, well, I'll do that. Now, I saw her face drop slightly. I spun her a whole story about how I'd been a gigolo. I met a girl called Silet Smadja, who was North African Jewish, white, and her mother had been mixed race, and she was a dressmaker. So she made me 2 white suits and 2 black shirts and 2 white ties. And I went and presented myself at the Martinez Hotel reception lounge, having had a shave, with a long cheroot, looking very cool. And I told my wife all this stuff, and it went on, and I watched her go white.
Super sorry for the interruption. When I heard a blender go off and I couldn't hear what Andrew was saying, I was like, no. Anyway, Andrew said his wife had said, you've got to be kidding me. And that's where I was like, Andrew, what's going on with the sound in the background? We got it all sorted out. And I unfortunately lost my train of thought. And let's pick it up. So we're talking about 2 years to write a book about.
Yes. Yeah.
And a short story takes you?
Any amount of time. I've done 1 or 2 in a day. Otherwise, a week or 2. I mean, I've amended some short stories with Gigolo. It was written 20 odd years ago. It's one of the older stories in Beads of Blood, and that one I sent off to the London magazine. Alan Ross, poet, journalist. The London magazine's very prestigious. No one gets into it unless they've been published. I sent him a short story. I sent him the first short story, and he always sent the stuff back within 2 or 3 days. Too short. The next one, too long. Then I sent him Hand of Pork, which is very macabre. It wasn't quite what he wanted to publish, but he scribbled across it impressive, as far as it goes. Now, before Beads of Blood came out, 18 years later, I changed the ending. It was too upbeat. I made it very, very, just a murmur. My wife said yes. My daughter said yes. And I thought yes. So it's in Beads of Blood. So that was written a long time ago, and he liked it. When you talk about, sort of the journey into writing and publishing adventures, Beads of Blood is one, not published, but written, again, so from horror to thriller to crime. We've also got children's books, not published, but I've had them illustrated, written in verse for very young children. We've got Clarissa the Clown. Roberto the Robot. Majesty the Magician, Ivan the Inventor, Toby the Toy Maker, Papa the Puppet Maker, Stephen the Statue, to mention but a few. And they're nice. They're really nice. I've written them like mini novels. So in the case of, let's say, Clarissa, when you write a book, you always give a description of the character you create a drama which is then happily resolved. So in the case of Clarissa the Clown, she wears a bright costume of yellow and blue and a very red nose that's stuck on with glue. Her face is chalk white, her eyebrows are green. Her hat is the tallest that you've ever seen, and under one eye, in pear-shaped quite clear, in kingfisher blue, is a very small tear. For though they all scream and call out with glee, Clarissa the Clown is not all that they see. She wanted to sail on the flying trapeze, but she wasn't allowed to because of her knees. They had to be stronger than hers would permit, and though she was loath to, she had to admit that to swing from the bar at such a great height with wobbly joints might give her a fright. So she ran in the sawdust beneath the big top, and made them all laugh with a skip and a hop. Been trying to laugh when she wanted to cry, so the kingfisher teardrop would always stay dry. But one day the ringmaster sprang her a surprise. When he pointed her off right up in the skies, he said, "We've got one missing. It's the flyer that flies. Please give it some thought. You'll need to feel brave. We've got money problems. The circus you'll save. By joining the others, our flyer has flew. There's nobody else. It's got to be you." But I've got weak knees, the boys used to tease. As a very small girl, I couldn't climb trees. But the ringmaster smiled at this marvellous child as he dug in her hand where the outfits were piled. "Slip out of your clown suit and into disguise. This trapezius costume will do you for size." So she swung and she flew, and her confidence grew, while down on the ground not one person knew that Clarissa the Clown on the flying trapeze could float through the air like a light summer breeze. And nobody guessed except one small boy who whispered to Mummy, "Oh heavens, oh boy, that's Clarissa the Clown. I know, so do you. See that very small teardrop in kingfisher blue?" Then Mummy said, "Yes, I can see that you're right. It's as clear as a bell beneath the spotlight." Then word got around, going through the whole place, till the folks roared approval and roared it quite loud. And when she was down and back on the ground, she bubbled with joy at the new fame she'd found. To the end, when she left, she was held shoulder high, Clarissa the Clown with a tear in her eye. This time it was real, not kingfisher yet, and it wasn't dry. Of course, it was wet.
That is beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it.
The others are the same sort of thing. A drama happened. I mean, Majesty the Magician. I've lost my little bunnykins, the white one in the hat. I had him only yesterday, and it seems is that. There's Majesty the Magician. He's overpowering. He's terrifying until you realise he's lost his little bunny rabbit. He's not that terrifying after all. And as for Roberto the robot, well, he is wonderful. He has kids throwing stones at him.
Oh, no.
And he works hard. He works at the plant up on the hill. And little Thomasina Proud befriends him. And Roberta thought, she understands. She is so young and frail. Her teeth embrace his blonde fair curls, yet nothing makes her quail. I wish that I could talk to her, to show her how I feel. But how can I get through when I've a face that's made of steel? The robot set his mind to work like never as before, to use the circuits Tom had built to move his metal jaw. He's stretched and strained and agonized, his wires all burned red hot, with creak and groan of iron bone. "You're all the friend I've got." Thomasina looked amazed and then started to clap. "You spoke to me, I heard it clear. You are a clever chap."
Oh.
"Did I?" Robbie said with glee. "Was that my own voice then? Can I speak just when I want? Is it my choice when?" Etc. And that also has a happy ending.
I have to look for these books.
Well, you don't see them. They're here.
Well, yeah, but in America, I'd have to go to a bookstore and I'd have to look to see if we can get these books.
Well, these are not published. They're just illustrated.
Oh.
I haven't got the time to do everything. Beads of Blood is published. The Hamilton is published. We're working on my most exciting story to date, the Lyme Regis Murders. The children's books, I haven't had the time to push them. I've just had them illustrated. Everyone likes them.
I love them. I absolutely love them. And that's it for this episode of Author Conversations with Andrew Segal. Part 3 is coming soon. Stay tuned. You can reach me through Facebook or Instagram at Living a Life Through Books. If you found this episode or any of my previous episodes enjoyable, please take a moment to write me a review. A review on Apple Podcasts goes a long way, so I thank you in advance for it. You can also reach me through ShahnazAhmed.com. That is ShahnazAhmed.com. My website and logo was designed by Alia Rahman. She's a St. Louis-based graphic designer and surreal artist. You can contact her for all your art and web design needs at aliarahman.com. That is AALIARAHMAN.com. My starting and ending music for this and all my previous episodes was composed by my husband, Brad Slavic. That's it for this episode. I'm Dr. Shanaz Ahmed with Living a Life Through Books, signing off.